Hello and welcome to Moving Pictures Kenya community. Today I'm in the cockpit of this 81-year-old plane, 81 years old. My grandmother, who is 88 years old, is only 7 years older than this plane. This is the cockpit, and believe it or not, this plane is still flying. So let me see whether I can get one of the crew members of this plane so that he can explain more about this plane. My name is Bonventure, and this is Moving Pictures Kenya, connecting people, inspiring Africa.
Well, I love this. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy meeting people. Our mission is basically to try to keep the memory of the Berlin Airlift alive. That's our primary mission, to educate people to a component of history. My name is Glenn Abel. I'm what's called the load master. I'm responsible for the back part of the aircraft before we take off, while we're in flight, and when we're on the ground. I have a whole bunch of responsibilities to take care of, which is difficult but enjoyable. All right? Working for the Berlin Airlift Historical Foundation, which is the owner of this aircraft, is a privilege. I've been working here for almost 10 years now, and I enjoy every single opportunity to fly on the plane. This is a C-54 D version. This was manufactured in 1943, came into service in 1945. She flew for 10 months in and out of Berlin during the Berlin Airlift. Now, the interior of the plane is as a museum for the remembrance of what that airlift was about. All right, probably the greatest humanitarian effort ever staged. The plane itself is 94 feet from tail to nose. Her wingspan is 117 inches, and the tail stands 24 feet above the ground. She has 4 what we call radial engines, which are R2000s. They produce 1,450 horsepower each. Okay, she consumes fuel at the rate of a half a mile per gallon. Not how many miles per gallon, but a half a mile per gallon. Okay, we carry about 800 gallons on the plane, primarily in the wings. The plane was originally designed for transcontinental flight, to be able to fly from New York to San Diego without stopping or without refueling. The original design was also as a passenger aircraft, commercial passenger, but they were so powerful that the U.S. government took 1,700 of them right off of the production line and turned them into military transports. Okay, her primary function was to convey people or material. This plane in particular flew from 1945 until 1979 in that capacity. Then afterwards she went into private use as a fire bomber on the West Coast. She would use to put out forest fires, and she did that for 15 years. So the 15 years that followed it, it had legal problems, so sat on the ground, and a lot of the parts deteriorated, especially the engines. We've owned the plane now for 3 years and are trying to work out all of the kinks to get her flying again. For 1 hour of flight, it takes about 10 hours of work on the ground to make sure she'll fly safely.
So is it still flying?
Still flying, yes, sir. We fly about 100 hours per year. This year we're going to do somewhere between 15 and 18 missions, and we call coming to an air show like this as a mission. Although the air show may be for 2 days, it takes us 3 or 4 days to get the plane ready, to transfer it here, and to fly it to its next destination. So it's not just 2 days, it's like 5 days every time we fly. So, and that's basically us. The organization has been in existence for 30 years now. And where a lot of other companies or foundations have failed, we're still flying. And we're very grateful and fortunate for that. Most of the monies that we receive are through benefactors, sponsors, We have fundraisers, we have memberships, we receive donations from companies, both in money and in material. Plus on top of it, because we are trying to keep the memory of the airlift alive, the German government, you can see where I'm wearing their flag, the German government helps finance us and provides us with material also. So we're very grateful to them. So,
How many of these aircraft are still?
there are only 3 or 4 of these planes still flying in the world today, and we're the only one open to the public. So, and we're not even sure about those 3 or 4. We know we fly, but how beyond that we're not even sure anymore. They're all in private use, and they're not long for this world. Very.
Yeah, so tell us briefly about the airlift. What was the airlift? What was it?
The airlift. Okay. The Berlin Airlift was 1948-1949. 330 of these types of aircraft were used to fly everything a person would need in Berlin, what you might need on a 24-hour basis. Food, clothing, material, coal for power, flour for food, milk for the kids. They flew into Berlin. One plane landed every 3 minutes for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 16 months. How much material that was, how much they brought in, I do not know. But it kept 2.5 million Germans in Berlin alive. And it lasted for 16 months. Now the airlift ended in September, but it took another 5 months for all of the ground transportation, which had been interrupted by the Soviets, to get back into place. You know, open up the roads, repair the rails, open up the canals for the boats to come through. The only way to get into the city was by aircraft, and that's what these planes were used for.
And then I saw like the cockpit is leaking. There is some rain.
Yes.
So is it safe for you to fly?
It's an 81-year-old aircraft. At 81 years old, anything would be difficult to operate. But we spend a lot of time making sure she's safe and flying. For every hour of flight, we invest about 10 hours on the ground, making repairs, making sure everything's functioning properly. Even at a show like this, the pilot will be out checking things, repairing things. Is it difficult to fly? Yes. Everything is manual. It's an analog aircraft, no digital electronics at all, except for navigation and communications, and that's required by the government. But everything else is original to the plane. She's a delight to fly, though. Once we're up in the air, well, even before that, when you're taking off, these engines produce so much power that when you take off, the G-forces push you into the seat. And it's an incredible feeling. It's a delightful feeling. And then you're up in the air before you know it. You're looking out, you're a couple of 100 feet up in moments. Once the wheels are off the ground, we're gone. And we fly about 1,800 feet, maybe 2,000 feet at about 200 miles an hour ground speed, and it's a delight. You look at the countryside, you look at the terrain, it's beautiful from up there. You don't see the problems of the world from that height.
Okay, but then I don't know, because I can see like here it doesn't have a window.
These are closed. Everything gets closed on the plane when we fly. You can't have an open window. Now, we do what's called a candy drop, where we drop candies to kids, and then we open up a window, but we're very, very low, and we're flying very, very slow, so it's safe. But when we're flying, 2,000 feet at 200 miles an hour, you get sucked right out. It's very, very dangerous. So we have to be sure that everything has safety seals on it. They're very, very secure windows, and including in the back of the plane too. Everything gets closed. No open windows at all. Okay? Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Today I wanted to bring you a story about the Lancaster Airshow, but the rains have been heavy, so we haven't managed to do anything. The air show hasn't happened, but at least we've been able to move around and have a feel of the helicopters. So like for example, this one here is Life Lion, Penn State Health. I think it belongs to Penn State Health, because here most hospitals you find they have helicopters as ambulance, so they use helicopters as air ambulance. And then this plane here, as you can see, belongs to the US Navy. It's a rescue plane for the US Navy. They haven't allowed us to go in, but at least for this one here, let's see whether we can go in this. I wish I knew how to fly. I'm inside the cockpit of a Black Hawk. This is one of the most reliable utility planes that are used by the US military. Black Hawk. It's one of the military planes that are used for military transport. It's a very reliable plane for the US Army. And then down there, the plane you see there is 88 years old, and it was used for the Berlin Airlift. And then these ones here, I think they are two-seater planes. They were part of the planes that are supposed to be used for the air show, but now because of the rains, they are not being used. What else do we need to see? I think, Walter, we've had enough. Huh?
Wow, you guys did that. Very good job, guys.
Wow, you saw that?
He's so warm.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Head back to the car.
Mommy's gonna make pot roast tonight. Perfect night.
They ran out. That was
They're
it.
all done. They're all done.
Well, folks, that about does it for today.
Okay. What are the 10
So tomorrow,